Lily Tang Williams decided to run again for Congress just in time to ruin my joke.
The New England take.
All right, I was literally texting Dexter Tarbox, contributor here on the show. Hi, Dexter.
Hey, AJ.
That, hey, it'd be hilarious, like super hilarious, if Lily Tang Williams, who previously ran for Congress against Maggie Goodlander, and decided to endorse Chris Pappas, who's running for Senate, like the first person to announce to be running for Senate, and just endorsed him and just badgered Maggie Goodlander, because we know Maggie Goodlander is going to be running for Senate. We'll dive deeper into that, but I'm pretty much guaranteed that woman's going to be running for Senate here sooner rather than later, if not this one, an upcoming run for sure. But it'd be priceless. Wouldn't it be priceless to have Lily Tang Williams just badgering Maggie Goodlander, siding with a Democrat, just chaos?
Well, you know what? I think it would be hysterical. And Lily, who's, as you said, declared now too, seems to be a lot more savvy about how to capitalize on her viral fame this time around. So I have no doubt it would lead to a lot of great moments. But again, that raises the question, though, about what do we think Goodlander is actually going to do here? And let me just tell you what I think, top of the line here. The Democrats have been handed an extraordinary gift by Sununu's deciding not to run for the Senate. That's a huge gift. They are doing handstands right now in Concord at the Democratic Party offices. But for Goodlander to engage in this kind of like a internecine primary battle between New Hampshire's only two sitting reps, both Democrats, I just think it would be a blunder of really earth-shattering proportions for her. She has substantially less experience in office. She's got more political exposure than Pappas. I can't. Well, let me say it this way. She may be a sociopath, and she's a first-string liar, but I don't think she's a fool. And I think it would be a foolish move for her to engage in that kind of within the family fighting.
So she may not be that fool, but is the Democratic Party enough of a fool to convince her to do it anyways? I mean, the fact that she came in at the last minute during this congressional race, totally as a carpetbagger, it was like the first thing everyone was saying was like, who's this carpetbagger jumping in? Is she from here? Where is she from? Oh, Tamposi? Who are the Tamposis? It's been a minute since we really thought about that family necessarily, who were Republicans, by the way. It's total establishment Democrats. Like, in my opinion, I think it's guaranteed because the Democrats are going to run her.
Well, you make a good point about the New Hampshire, the nature of the New Hampshire Democrats. They're nothing if they aren't shamelessly ambitious. When the congressional district CD1 was opened the last time, it was 2018, there were 10 Democrats in the primary for that congressional district. They do like to run candidates, but I think maybe they've learned a little bit of a lesson from how difficult a time they had nominating a gubernatorial candidate in the last election. It was a very close race between the two leading Democrats. And that's not typical for them in New Hampshire. Usually they're pretty unified, even though they have a wide field and they all like to run. They usually get it together pretty quick. And I think having that long fight in the gubernatorial race in particular might be teaching them to be a little safer this time around. At least a sane person, you'd think, would advise them to do so. I mean,
I got to touch on Chris Sununu, who I literally a month ago posted a video trying to just shamelessly guilt this guy into running for office because it was the no-brainer. The issue is I think he doesn't want it. I think that's primarily, he does not like dealing with the sausage making of Congress and all that. I think he was frustrated by the executive council and some of the silliness that tends to ensue with that, which is why he pushed very hard, I think, to get certain people elected to be in the executive council here in New Hampshire. He's young. He's only 50. He's got his wife and him are very young. They got kids. It was a rough 8 years. He survived through COVID and all that. I totally get it. But I was hoping on the other side, Republicans would be shameless enough to just hammer this poor man who's just wicked sweetheart. I've met this guy a whole bunch of times. He's a wicked good dude. He's a family man. He treats everyone super nice. There's a reason why both sides of the aisle loved him, and he was the one shoo-in, I think, that could have been that moderate. Is there anyone you see, Dexter, on the Republican side of the aisle that could possibly fill those shoes?
Well, and it's not that the Republicans didn't try. And it's not that Sununu didn't flirt either. He was doing, I think I spoke to you a few weeks ago, maybe even a month ago. I was saying, God, he's doing a lot of media. It seems to be a suggestion that he's going to make a move. I was surprised, in fact, when he didn't, though I have traditionally been sensitive to the argument, which you just said, that he is a young guy with a young family who is probably not interested in a legislative role. I think that's true. In terms of who could emerge in his mold, i.e. someone who could be successful in New Hampshire at flipping this seat, obviously the name that everyone talks about is Scott Brown. I'll say this, Scott Brown is probably more palatable now than he was in the past. Plus, he's not MAGA, which is important in New Hampshire. But I just find that he has really little to no chance of inspiring independents down on the coast in CD1. He would need to confront, I think, to be victorious if he's the nominee, a real blunderer. If he's going to win in the actual general election. And so far, the only declared Dem in CD1 to replace Chris Pappas is Maura Sullivan. She announced today, and she seems to be playing the moderate as well. I think for Scott to be successful, to overcome his sort of carpetbagger reputation, and to do well in southern New Hampshire, he would need to confront a real idiot who made a mess of things. So far, it doesn't seem to be who the Dems are considering running in this district. I think they're going to run people who play as moderate as he does.
He just doesn't pop in the same way as so many other people. I mean, that's for sure. I mean, he definitely stands out when you're looking at the federal news coverage, like anything when it comes to what's going on in D.C. and everything of that nature. But when it came around to the presidential primary circuit, with First in the Nation came around last, he was a very big player, having house parties, bringing candidates from, I think it was both sides of the aisle, to his house to talk and talk about what they're doing. Outside of that, there hasn't really been much that he's been involved with. Like, he's had his little pet projects that he's been in the news and such, but nothing else. I mean, literally the only Republicans in the state that really pop for me at all are of the free stater variety, and because they've made such waves over the last few years, but they don't stand a chance in hell of getting Democrats or even kind of leaning towards left Republicans to vote for them, because there's a lot of reasons. All the baggage that comes with the free state movement obviously is a problem, but also they hate the feds too much. I mean, that's my theory ultimately when it comes to like Jason Osborne, who I think is great. I love Jason, Keith Amwin and such. They're all fantastic for me politically, but I think they hate the feds too much to really go to DC and get into the swamp and try and deal with it. They like New Hampshire where they can make a difference and they don't need to deal with so much of the nonsense that happens with federal races and legislating.
Well, in New Hampshire, they do get elected at the state legislature, typically as Republicans. So that they have a real opportunity to make political moves in New Hampshire that impact the policies that they want to affect directly, locally, and they have a shot of getting elected. When you're looking at trying to win, Rockingham County, Strafford County, there's really no hope of that.
Yeah, it's
for a free state libertarian. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean they burned too many bridges. Also, some of the players in there, like you just pull up newscasts from the last decade and say, "Oh, this guy did this guy did that." Regardless of me personally liking or not liking, a lot of people assume I'm a free stater. I'm not a free stater. I went to college in New Hampshire and decided to stick around. That's my background. I'm just a libertarian leaning dude from Maine. It's fascinating to see the difference, and I think a lot of people don't consider the difference between being involved with state government, that a lot of people assume that the key players will want to make that jump, want to make that step to make change at the federal level, when that's not the case. It's a different can of worms. It's a different ecosystem. It's a different life of sausage making that is totally different.
I mean, just not to mention the fact that the New Hampshire General Court, the state legislature in New Hampshire, I think is the largest English-speaking legislative body, maybe second to one in the entire world. It's a very large legislature where a big diversity of ideas have the opportunity to come to the fore, which of course is just not the case, even in the House of Representatives federally. And of course, just as well with the libertarians, even not the strictly free state libertarians in New Hampshire, the Libertarian Party branch in the state is notoriously very controversial. You know, we've had Kaufman on this show in the past and spoken to them, and they make no apologies for saying some very radical things, which is just very difficult to sell in a federal election.
What about you, Mr. New Right guy? I mean, what's your hope for maybe a person or two that may consider running?
To tell you the truth, I don't really have. Not even just thinking in terms of my political ideology, but more broadly thinking about electoral politics. As I said, with CD1 to replace Pappas, I don't think there's anyone who comes to mind right now. I think Pappas will be the nominee for the Senate seat. I think even if Goodlander challenges him, she'll fail, and it would be a mistake for her. And he'll probably be victorious in replacing Jeanne Shaheen. I hate to say it, it's not what I want, obviously. Would I love to see Chuck Morse perhaps come out of retirement to try something? Sure. Ideologically, politically, I don't think so.
Yeah, agreed. Except I think Maggie Goodlander stands a very good chance to take the seat because she's that, her and the party are that swampy and don't care. But I guess we'll have to.
Who do we blame then? Buckley? Yeah. Would it be Buckley's call if something like that happened?
I think it'll be I think it's the federal delegation. I think it's the Democratic National Committee
and everything. Yeah.
Oh yeah, 100%. They're going to have a say because that's where the money comes from. It costs so much money to run for Senate. You need to have the federal delegation involved if you want to have anything happen. You're gonna need $5 to $10 million.
But he's been in the House so much longer. I mean, she is great with raising money, obviously. That's how she won the Senate, even though she's not from New Hampshire. But he's been in for so long. He's like, and in New Hampshire, we vote for people we know. I mean, think about it, how we have a completely divided federal delegation, all Democrat, Republican governor, Republican state legislature in both houses. The reason we have such a mix-up in New Hampshire is because of the candidates. Why was Sununu a shoo-in? Because we know him. You know, why do I think Pappas is a shoo-in in the Senate? Because we know him more than her. And so when I look at the complexion of New Hampshire, I think it would be a mistake, even for the national Democrats, to throw themselves behind her when he seems to be the more New Hampshire candidate.
And it seems likely, at least in theory, with that concept, the Shaheen political mechanism and family, whatever way you want to put it. So it's the Shaheens and the Sununus are the two big players in the state. If you're not from around here, I see the Shaheens backing Pappas. I mean, unless there's something that happens, it's got to be that, and that political mechanism is going to be tremendous.
Yeah, and I don't think they would screw it up again. When Annie Custer was leaving office, the seat that Maggie Goodlander took over, she endorsed Colin Van Osten, and her endorsement meant absolutely nothing. Maggie came in with money, and she bulldozed over it, and she was successful. Yeah, I don't think they would make the mistake, one of these prominent New Hampshire Democrats, again, of endorsing someone who wasn't sure to win. So I think when you see them endorsing Pappas, that will be a further sign that it's a sure thing for him.
All right, I got to go get this posted before something else happens that ruins whatever I'm trying to post on the channel. This is going to be irrelevant for a week, so please watch this now and share right away. I'd really appreciate it. Dexter, thanks so much for joining me.
Nice to talk to you.
All right, Dexter Tarbox, I'll put his X account down in the description down below. Please be sure to like, subscribe if you're checking this out on YouTube. We're also posting on all major podcast platforms, as well as every Saturday on the Granite Grok, granitegrok.com. Be sure to check out what they're up to. Important work over there. This is the New England Take, newenglandtake.com. We'll talk to you soon.